right, President Bola Tinubu has told the G20 leaders that Nigeria has the potential to play a significant role within the group and contribute to creating a more just world due to its strategic importance as Africa's largest economy and democracy. Now, he added that Nigeria is poised, able, and willing to be a major player in this family of the G20 and in shaping a new world without whom the family will remain incomplete, he said. Well, Tinubu made this call on Saturday when he addressed world leaders at the 18th G20 Leaders Summit holding in New Delhi. That one took place in New Delhi. Well, joining us virtually to discuss this, we have Nika Gule and John Akirile. Well, I've been informed that Nika Gule is in with us. John will probably join us in the course of the program. These are public affairs analysts. All right, so John is in as well. Good morning, John. Good morning, Nick.
Good morning. Thank you for having me. And good morning to listeners.
All right, that's the voice of John.
I'm here.
All right, good to have you, Nick, as well. So we'll now. What are the potentials, really? Now, there's been a promise of $14 billion coming from that summit, the G20 summit. $14 billion looks good on paper. But what do you make of that, and what the president has done so far? Sorry, let me start with Nick on this one.
Sorry, can you come back with that again?
With the visit of the president to the G20 summit, the president has been able to talk to investors in India, and there's been a promise of I think $14 billion coming into Nigeria from those discussions. What's your take on this?
Well, it's good news on paper. It's good news on paper that if investors in India are poised to bring $14 billion into the Nigerian economy, and they actually do that, and they do it for the good intentions and purposes, then it will be good news. It will be a win for Nigeria. It will be a goal scored by our president for us. But let's not forget that we don't actually need the president or to India, all the way to India, to go and shop for investors. We now live in a global world where there's free flow of information across borders, and people know what is happening in each geographic space. There are large corporations with interest in Nigeria because there is a market of 200 million people. And then there are inputs into whatever they want to manufacture in terms of goods and services. And then they have the manpower, a young, virile population. So they know the opportunities are there. But they are not going to come because we are yet to get the basics right. If we are yet to get the basics right, these guys know these things even more than some of us who are Nigerians, because some of them actually have departments of business intelligence that gather information to enable business development. So they know facts that Nigeria don't even know. You can see in Nigeria, the basics are lacking. One, security is lacking. The judiciary that should be fair and totally incorruptible is lacking. The corruption in government circles is lacking. The speed with which we execute business-related deals, as in you want to incorporate a company, you want to get this license, the speed with which that happens is lacking. All these things are impediments to investors. These are not the kind of things. I mean, which investor wants to come and they kidnap their employees, just like they kidnapped those youth service members who were
But,
mobilizing to Sokoto.
but the
And today,
president, sorry, Nick, but the president has said, look, he has a team, he's the captain. Sorry, Nick, can you hear me?
and investors will come on their own.
Okay. Well, the president has said, look, he has a team working with him, and he is the captain of this team, and he will ensure that things work. So don't you have faith that the president will indeed be the leader of this team and Nigerians behind him, and ensure that the environment will be made conducive for businesses to thrive? Don't you have faith in that?
The president didn't need to tell the global leaders gathered at the G20 summit in India that he is the captain of the ship. The world knows he's the captain of the ship. The world knows he's the president of Nigeria. He didn't need to tell them that he has a team. The world is already aware that he has got 45 ministers. What the world is waiting to see is the action. Is Nigeria now safe? If we bring our investments in and we have a dispute, can we get judicial adjudication that is incorrigible? These are the kind of things that the world is waiting for. So if we are no longer in the era of making promises, we're in the era of action. India, where he went to, India, if President Tinubu bothered to ask, he should have been told that on a daily basis in the hotel that he slept, in the meeting rooms, and everywhere, the trains he saw, the electric trains, and everything in that India, India is generating and supplying 400,000 megawatts of electricity per day. President Tinubu should ask himself, how many megawatts is Nigeria generating and supplying? 3,000. It's not more than 4,000. When it gets to 5,000, we are in euphoria, jubilating. 5,000. India, 400,000. 400,000. If Nigeria were to supply electricity to India, meaning India is 1.4 billion people in population, and we are 200 million. That means India is 7 times more in population than us. If we were to give them electricity at the same rate we are supplying ourselves, 3,000, we'll give them 21,000 megawatts of electricity, 21,000. That is 7 times 3,000. 21,000, but India is doing 400,000. These are the kind of things President Tinubu needs to get himself busy with. Generate electricity, let people, the investors, when they come, you want them to use generators to run their factories? That is why they ran away. So without you now putting the electricity in place, the lack of which made investors to run away, you are now saying they should come and do their business with what power supply. So these are the kind of things I'm talking about. Sit down and do your homework. The guys in Dubai start down and do their homework, and that is why the world is going to Dubai. Dubai is not bothering to spend money to go to anybody. Everybody is going to Dubai. This is my point.
All right.
All right, then.
All right.
Thank you very much, Nick.
Thank you very much, Nick. John Akarele, can you hear me, please? Okay.
I can hear you, Esther.
All right, all right. In your opinion, what do you think Nigeria stands to gain, from this G20 summit? What impact exactly would it have on our economy and global standing generally?
I think it will have no effect, because I don't think anywhere in the world attending conferences like this, increasing your ratings at the economic level or at the global standing, it does not. What talks about your rating has to be your capacity in terms of generating wealth, in terms of your economic standing. How viable is your economy? That is what people of the world will rate you with. Just like my brother, Mr. Nick, was saying, I think for us, let's go by the formula of fixing our house first. And I can assure you, if we're able to fix our house, all the G19 leaders that were in New Delhi will come to Lagos or come to Abuja. You know why? Because we have fixed all that we need to fix. Esther, let me
Sorry,
tell you, maybe you
John.
people don't know.
Okay. John?
Yeah,
It's not Esther, it's Joy.
I can hear you, Mr.
It's Joy. It's
I'm
Joy.
Joy, yeah, Joy.
Just wanted to clarify
Joy,
that.
no.
We have Joy here on the
sorry.
seat, not
Sorry.
Esther. That's fine.
Now,
That's
look
fine.
at it.
Go ahead.
It's fine.
If you look at the number of people, the number of young business owners that have collapsed their business in the last 3 years in Nigeria is alarming. And that should give you a question mark that why are small businesses closing down in Nigeria? These are questions to be asked. And these are the foundation of the microeconomy of any country. That's the template that runs in China. And they are part of the world power today. And so if Nigeria truly wants to be the giant of Africa, is to look at how the environment can be business conducive, how the environment can make the business to be viable, you know? Now, come to think of it, if the government is saying we want to take our position and make sure that we structure the business environment in a way that it can, encourage good competition, it can encourage good growth, and you see how that will enhance our GDP rate. Okay? So for me, I think the president should even, if he asks me, cancel all of these foreign trips and call his ministers and say, guys, roll up your sleeves, it's time for us to work because we have a long work to do. In terms of infrastructure, you have a long work to do. In terms of road network for farmers to the city, to the market, you have a long work to do. In terms of processing, the value chain of agriculture, you have a long work to do. In terms of manpower, you have a long work to do. In terms of even enabling your young people to become economically viable, in terms of technicalities, you have a long work to do. Maybe you don't understand. Just pick a random sampling and pick a student, a 200-level student of maybe computer science, and tell him to code for you. You'll be shocked that a 200-level student in Nigerian university cannot even code a single line code. And that's the problem. So they finish the university and then come into NYSC and start learning coding, either on YouTube or wherever. And so these are some of the things we must fix, that our educational system is working, our healthcare is working, security is top-notch, electricity, Esther, this country you go to for these meetings, you see that when you get to these countries, they have 24/7 electricity. It does not blink for a second. And that's why their industries are growing. How will you bring $14 billion into Nigeria? You will use about $1 billion to do maintenance and servicing and fueling of generator. And how can a country grow in that regard? We cannot grow. So the first thing we must do is that let all these foreign trips wait and tell all your ministers, guys, it's time to work.
All right,
What is the
John.
problem in terms of electricity?
Okay.
Can we look
all
at
right.
other countries that have worked in Africa and take a template from them and start with that? And in the next 4 years, we can see what our generation is, what our transmission is, what our distribution is, and then we can look at a way of giving us other alternative sources of energy to make sure that we have good, steady power supply, and then can we have industrialization, and then can we attract investments without attending meetings.
So, John, are you saying that this G20 would not affect the relationship with other African countries? That's Nigeria's relationship with other African countries. Is that what you're saying?
I'm only saying to you, put yourself in their shoes. Will you work hard with your money and then look at the money and then get a lighter or a matches and then set that money ablaze? Because bringing money into Nigeria economy as at now is just like burning the money because the country is not safe.
All right, John, let me interrupt you for a bit there. I'd like to get maybe Nick's thought first and then maybe yours in this next question. One of the companies that have indicated interest to invest money in Nigeria seems to be in Nigeria already. And I'm talking about Indorama Petrochemical Limited. Now, Indorama Petrochemical Limited, they have pledged pledged a new investment of $8 billion in the expansion of their fertilizer production and petrochemical facility situated in Eleme, Rivers State. So the company has been doing business in Nigeria already. So they understand the system. They probably know that their money will not burn, like you said. But did the president have to go over to New Delhi to secure an 8 billion naira new investment from this company that is already doing business in Nigeria? Nick, let me get your thoughts first, and then I'll come back to John on his thoughts on this one as well.
Okay, so let's look at the fundamentals. All the presidents before President Tinubu have told this same path, that when they come into office, they start junketing around the world looking for this elusive foreign investment. All presidents. And unfortunately, this junketing around the world is putting a lot of pressure on the Naira. Because you see that whole big team that accompany the president, they need to be paid extra code in dollars. And for us to get the dollars, the federal government will carry Naira to go and buy dollars. So instead of President Tinubu trying to solve the problem of foreign exchange crisis in Nigeria, these trips are even causing or deepening that problem of foreign exchange crisis. Then President Tinubu now needs to ask himself that, of all my predecessors that have been junketing around the world, I mean, for someone like President Obasanjo, in his first time, it was as if he was living abroad in the name of looking for foreign investment than living in Nigeria. President Tinubu needed to ask himself, what has been the benefit? How much foreign investment were these my predecessors able to attract to Nigeria with this foreign investment? If he ran that inquisition in his mind, he should have come to the quick realization that he didn't do much. That is why he himself has seen that there is no much foreign investment. If there was going to be, there would have been humongous of it into the trillions of dollars before he even assumed office. That is number one. When President Tinubu wants to succeed, there is a maxim that goes that you cannot continue doing the same thing and expecting different results. If the president before President Tinubu went on these foreign trips, did not secure any foreign investment, why does President Tinubu think that he's going abroad with expensive dollars that is going to change anything?
All right, then. Thank you very much. Let me get John's view on this very quickly because of time. John.
All right, Moses. Now I will ask you a question. Since the same way you asked me this question, the company you talked about, how are they able to produce fertilizers in Nigeria and supply our farmers that same fertilizers? Where is their market? Don't forget that these people say they come into the country to do business in the country, but they use their own manpower to produce, and once the product is ready, they export that product, and they earn in foreign exchange. And that's why whatever that happens in Nigeria does not really have that effect on them. Why? Because they earn in foreign exchange by selling their product outside Nigeria. Okay? So if they are bringing more money, the more money they are bringing is that they use our raw materials, use our human power, human capacity, our manpower to have that product. And then once this product is done, they package it and export it and then earn in foreign exchange. So they are bringing in dollars, they are also earning back in dollars. And that gives the stability to it. Okay?
All right.
So they understand what they are doing because the people is here, the raw material is here, and they can fix other problems that they need to fix. So that is how they're able to stabilize that. So if they are bringing in more money, be sure that their export also will also go up in terms of generating funds for themselves. And that's how they balance it. But what I'm saying is simple, Moses. What I'm saying is simple. There is so much for us to fix back home. And let us come back home and fix it. And then we can attract investment. Just be the beautiful bride. And you have all manner of men coming at you. But in this case, you are like a beautiful bride running after men. Then you are worthless. Because men not run after you, not you run after them.
Well, that illustration is heartbreaking. when you make it into a bride running after men, that's really heartbreaking. But
all right, really funny indeed. But Nick, can you hear me? What specific contribution can Nigeria, make to the G20 if it becomes a member? I know it's supposed to be a
Okay.
partnership, so they're supposed to also deliver something. What can we give?
Yes. So before I talk about what contribution Nigeria can make to the G20, I want to support my co-panelist John on his eloquence and his full knowledge of the situation. You see, these Indorama people, they came and they were sold the LM Petrochemicals Limited, which used to be a company um, owned by the NNPC. They got that factory for cheap in LM, and the raw materials, which is the oil industry, is right there at their backyard. You will discover that in the oil industry, investors uh, kind of bite the risk because of the so much that is involved that can be gotten out of that industry. That is why the Shell, the Mobil, the Chevrons are here, despite the bad operating environment. They are here because there's so much to make out of the oil industry. But the oil industry shouldn't be Nigeria's only industry. We should be looking at agriculture. We should be feeding the world now, giving the whole resources that we have. Look at our minerals. Look at everything else we have. Where are the investments for those? They're hard in coming. Okay, what can Nigeria give to the G20? I don't think Nigeria is going to be able to give anything to the G20. Rather, it's Nigeria that should be getting from the G20. Nigeria is bedeviled with very basic things. As I speak today, there are Nigerians, majority of Nigeria don't have access to pipe-borne water. Pipe-borne water. Our healthcare is in crisis. Our education is collapsed. If Nigeria is at the G20, we should be trying to see how we can extract from the G20 members to Nigeria what it takes for us to get the basics of life, the kind of things that people take for granted elsewhere that are still our problem. For me, that should be the way to go. But let's not forget that the G20 has now offered membership, have invited the African Union, of which Nigeria is a member, to join the G20. So if G20 is the silver bullet, okay, now EU is dragging Nigeria into G20. Let us see that silver bullet happen. Let us begin to see development. Our fingers are crossed.
All right then. John, let's lump this now. Let's lump this and see, because from what you guys have been saying, there doesn't seem to be positive coming out from it. But I'm searching for the positive in all of this. $14 billion coming in from investors, Indian investors, and these will go into power, steel, and petrochemical. That's the the areas, the specific areas: power, steel, and petrochemical. Now, a company, Bharti Enterprises, they have offered $1.6 billion over 4 years to construct power plants and $700 million in Nigeria, respectively, according to the government. Now, we also have Jindal Steel and Power Limited, which is one of India's largest private steel producers. They have committed $3 billion in Nigeria going forward. They have made a promise. And we do hope that these monies will be brought in, and then Indorama Petrochemicals that we've talked about already. Now there is also the $1 billion to assist Nigeria to produce light weapons locally. How does that make you feel? I'm chiming in. I'm zeroing in on the light weapons locally. Bear in mind, John, I'm going to start with you. Bear in mind that we have people making local guns here already, with wood and other things. We have apprehended a few of them when they sell it to criminals that use it to rob. But there's some sort of industry here that maybe, if developed, could be better. What do you think? But what does this make you feel? $1 billion to assist Nigeria to produce light weapons locally. John, please.
Moses, see, those figures you are calling does not excite me. Since they've given that to me in Nigeria, till now, I've been hearing those figures. Go and check your newspaper of the 1980s, the 1990s, the 1960s. Look at the headlines. You hear this money, and at the end of the day, you look at the reality on ground and the investments you talked about. You cannot match them. It does not match. Let me ask you this question again. The case of Ajaokuta Power Steel, what is happening? Do you know how much has been expended? And till I speak to you, Ajaokuta is still on paper. And that's cause for worry. What is the case of our refineries? And billions of naira is being budgeted year in and year out. And we are still here importing. You are talking about petrochemicals. Moses, let me say to you emphatically on this program this morning, and let the world hear me and hear me well. All those Indian companies in Nigeria, go and check how they treat Nigerian workers. Check how they treat their workers who work with them. Check where their market is. Their market is not even in Africa. So these are things we need to check. If they are bringing in more money for their own sake, not to help us, let's get that straight. You are a journalist, just go and do your investigative journalism on what I'm saying to you now.
Well,
there are some of them on that aspect of Saddam Kogijo. Check it out. Look at the welfare status of workers in those factories and industries. That's what they need to check. Okay? Look at the welfare packages for the workers. Where are these markets going into? Now they are bringing in more money to all of this. It's fine. It's okay. But my own is we have a problem of non-transparent system of governance, not accountability. And that is why the money can come in and fizzle out within a few years. And that growth, that expansion you're looking for will not be there, Moses. I bet that with you. You have made this headline now. They are bringing some amount of money. Moses, 2 years down the line, I will remind you. Thank God the internet does not forget. I will remind you, 2 years down the line, where is this investment? Of what importance has this brought to Nigerians? Did it make us even a better people? These are questions we should ask ourselves. So the point is, if you don't fix that which you need to fix, in terms of you, see, Moses, our problem is that political will. When somebody knows that once it comes to public funds, you need to do the right thing, and the money given to you must be expended in the right proportion, and you are accountable for that money. Until then, can we still have a country of our own? For now, let them bring $100 trillion into Nigeria economy. The economy will not still be viable. I'm saying that to you. Why? Because the system and the channels that ought to be working is not there. In terms of strong institutions, we don't have in Nigeria. And that is why these companies can come in and do whatever they like, and they go scot-free. Have you had a case of an amputee in an Indian company in Nigeria or the Pakistan country in Nigeria? What happened to the amputee? Nothing. Why? Because they must have signed contracts with the government, and then the government will be at their back and at the detriment of their own people. So these are some of the things we must check. If they are bringing in money, the government that's in right thinking will ask questions. What is your welfare packages for our people? The workers. What are your insurance policies? How conducive is the environment for working? What is the duration of work? Now, these guys tell you to work 8 hours, but in their own country, they don't work that 8 hours. Because we say we have the manpower in Africa, then use us as slaves, and then look at the remuneration. Even when the government cannot even pay minimum wage of 30,000, how do you expect such company to pay more than 30,000 naira salaries? And these are the things we must check. These are the underlying factors that we must sit down as a people and as a government and say, if we must give you these funds, if you must come in to have a business, these are the boxes that you must tick. You know, have good working conditions, have good working environment, have good safety precautions for our people, have good welfare packages for them, have good insurance packages for them, so that we can be sure that what you are producing is equivalent to what you are making. But in a case where the government only cares about the money, you see that the money does not reflect in the economy. It only reflects in the pocket of the so-called public office holders, our political elites. They are the one that you will see that, you know, they will declare more money, they have more money, they buy more cars. Some of them can even have private jets. But on the economy as a whole, it will have no effect. On the lives of commoners, on the street of Lagos and Abuja, it will have no effect.
Okay, thank you very much,
on the lives
John.
of the taxi man on the road, it will have no effect.
All right then, John.
All right, John.
All right. Thank you for that. Yes.
Thank you so much for that. Nick, Please, shouldn't we have fears, you know, about the industrial practices by Indians here in Nigeria? You know, because of course they are feared to be slave drivers down here in Nigeria. So why are we engaging them all over again?
Yes, actually, workers' rights are not respected at all in Nigeria, either by Indians, Lebanese, or not even by Nigerians themselves. As we speak today, the federal government says the minimum wage is 30,000 naira per month. And you will discover that even governments, there are state governments and local governments that are not even paying that minimum wage. If you are not paying minimum wage, at least to your workers, that's abuse of workers. And we have these things happening in Nigeria with nobody doing anything about it. So I have heard accounts of Nigerians who work in these factories or businesses that are owned by Indians and Lebanese and all of that, who go through grueling working conditions for little pay. And these are the kind of things that you have a government in place for. You have a government in place for them to work for the people. The government can bring enforcement in to ensure that anybody at all who is working in Nigeria must be paid minimum wage, whose rights must be respected. They have a right to a conducive working environment. There should be no harassment and intimidation of workers. Workers should feel at home if they are at work and all of that. There's nothing like that that's happening in Nigeria, and you expect a law of enforcement which is not coming. You know, and you know, when the National Assembly, who is supposed to strengthen the laws to ensure that law enforcement is becoming more effective, you find National Assembly doing very strange things. For instance, I'll give you an example. People are kidnapped in Nigeria. The security agencies acting timid, you know, being unable to rescue these people. And then instead of the National Assembly to come upon the security agencies, the National Assembly now is making a law whereby if they kidnap your person and the security are doing nothing about it, and then you are now looking for a way to go and pay ransom so that you can rescue your person and bring them home, they are making a law to criminalize that and jail you. So the law will take you, try you, put you in jail while your person is still in the hands of kidnappers. The National Assembly that doctors are leaving Nigeria in droves. Instead of coming upon government agencies to try and create the enabling environment for doctors to thrive in Nigeria, the National Assembly is now making a law to criminalize leaving Nigeria as a doctor. If you are leaving Nigeria, we are going to criminalize that, put you in jail. So the doctor that you don't want to go abroad, you now put them in jail in Nigeria. So they are in prison. You know, so this is the kind of situation we have in Nigeria. We don't expect Nigerian government officials to even just be serious about the work that they have embarked upon to do. That's my summation about this.
Okay, John, how would Nigeria's inclusion in the G20 influence its domestic policies and governance?
Well, let me be frank with you. It will only just be a mere talk. It does not change the way we are being perceived outside the shores of the country. It does not change the way they see your green passports in Malaysia and they have to double check your bags. It doesn't change it. So I think this administration needs to understand that there is so much in terms of reputation management that we need to work on. And the first way to do that is to look at what comes out of our headline news on a daily basis. Joy, even if you're in New York, just go on Google and type news in Nigeria. You will find all of these news online, even in details. So these people in India, if you tell them that the country is very safe, they can get the news of the recent kidnap today. So they are even more updated in terms of information than you do. So when you come to such fora and you say all manner of sweet things to them, they clap for you, but they know deep down in their mind that this is not the reality on ground. Okay? So I think for us, it's a good step in the right direction, saying that we are now a member of G20. But are we truly? So I think what this government needs to do is, being a member is not just being a member for being a member's sake. That should trickle down in terms of economic gains to our people, in terms of, political will, in terms of good judicial reforms. You see, one thing that really baffles me of this investment of a thing is that you have Nigerians in Canada who set up businesses in Canada. And these guys in Nigeria and Canada, they dare not omit a step as requirements from the government of Canada for setting up a business in Canada. They dare not. In terms of payment, they dare not come below the standard. They dare not. In terms of welfare and insurance package, they dare not come down. So if we also say that as Nigeria, and we tell these companies, if you are coming to Nigeria setup, these are our rules and regulations. And let that law enforcement be number one, so that they all understand, if you are going to Nigeria set up business, these are things you must do. Maybe we should even ask our brothers in India, who are business owners in India, what they are trying in India. I'm sure that the Indians are doing what in Nigeria. So you can go to India, you must follow all of their procedures before you can set up business in India. But when Indians come to Nigeria, they don't need to follow all of those things. As far as you're able to send envelope to people in Abuja, you are good to go. That must be corrected. The era where when you are bringing up an investment, there's always a kickback to some of the cabals, the people who brought this investment. And that's why these people can do whatever they do, and they get away with it. They say, don't worry, after all, the case will be settled from Abuja. Then the next thing you hear is a call from above. Which above is the above? You don't know the above, but there's a call from the above. And we must shift from this era even into a more, good era where people can say, now we have a rule of law. Now we have law enforcement. Now we have structures on ground that can aid, that nobody's above the law. Either you are the employer or the employee. And all of us can stand by the rule and regulation of the industry. You have industrial courts. How many business owners have you seen that have been jailed for violating the right of their workers? None. Go and check. None. Why? Because there's always a call from above. Look at those who have been amputated in terms of industrial accidents. And what is the compensation for them? What is the insurance package for them? Nothing. They are there in penury and agony now. So if we say we want to attract investments, let's put our house in order. In terms of security, let's make sure that our security is top notch.
All right, John. All right, thank you so much.
We keep spending on frivolities. Spend more money on security.
All right,
Spend more money on security.
Unfortunately, we have to take another question.
Yes,
so
yeah. This question is actually in line with what John is already talking about. I was going to ask, because there is this saying that he who pays the piper dictates the tune. So now that Nigerians are the ones going out there to almost like beg these expatriates to come into Nigeria, to develop our economy, doesn't that put us in a bad place with regards to requirements, needed to set up establishments here in Nigeria?
No. It does not put us in a bad light. And this is it. For any business owner or any right-thinking business owner, it's always a win-win. Okay? What the government will give to you is to give you a conducive environment where your business can thrive. They'll give you security, infrastructure, in terms of your basic access to good road, access to 24/7 power supply, because your business will run on electricity. Okay, and if you have some of these basic things that are normal in a Senate land, but abnormal in Nigeria, you need to have all those things in check. Now, once you have all these things, you see that about 60% of the problem is solved. Do you know, Joy, that if all that I'm talking about on this forum, if all these things are settled, majority of Nigerians will be gainfully employed.
All right then.
I say that again. Majority of Nigerians will be gainfully employed.
Okay, John, thank you
if
very
you look
much
at
for
the
that.
economies of the world that is thriving, they have jobs for their people. And how come they have jobs in shifts?
Okay.
You have morning shifts,
John,
afternoon shifts, and night shifts, and they pay them
interrupt
per
you at
hour.
this point. We have to interrupt you at this
So you
point.
must understand.
Let's
Okay.
take Nick's quick response to this one, and then we'll move on to the second topic. Now, Nick, quickly, the president has moved from New Delhi in India to the UAE, where he intends to continue talks with authorities right there in the UAE. Do you have any expectations? Can we have that in
I don't
60
have,
seconds?
yeah, I don't have any expectations because, like I said, we cannot be doing the same thing and expecting different results. That means there's something wrong with us. So I have no expectations. The only thing I want to tell the president is that now that he's in UAE, the capital of UAE is Abu Dhabi, and then the business district of the UAE is Dubai. You know, there are some people who think Dubai is a country. No, Dubai is part of the United Arab Emirates. That's a country, UAE. So let the president see how a capital city of a country is. That's Abu Dhabi. I've been there myself, and I could only marvel at what it is. Let the president come into Dubai and see what a business district is. Then let him pick the lessons of how these people who themselves were colonized by us. You know, there are some people that think that colonization is a problem. No. The UAE was also colonized. In fact, they got their independence in 1976, 10 years after we got ours. You understand? So let the president see Abu Dhabi, a capital city of a country. Let him come to Dubai and see a business capital of a country. Let him ask those people questions.
Okay.
How did you get here?
Okay.
What did you do to get here?
All right.
Let him come back to Nigeria and make it happen in Nigeria.
All right then.
For me, it's a journey in lessons for the president.
A journey in lessons. That's how Nick caps it. Well, Nick Agule and John Akele would like for you guys to stay with us as we go on to the second part of the show. We have another topic. Now, this one, 24 persons confirmed dead from a tragic boat accident in Niger State. One too many, you would say. Well, let's take a break. When we come back, we'll talk on this. Stay with us. We'll be back in a bit.